whatever you link to these things, you will become. So be very careful when you use the term I. We're going to discuss that on the live. I'm Junior Kekueva Jr. Good morning. Here from Here For You Life Coaching, and we're going to we're going to talk about that. We're having some kind of glitch here in our international feed, but I think we're going to work that out. So anyway, let's get to it. So now, what do you identify with I? So a lot of people make this mistake. And it's a very easy fix, okay? So whatever you put after the word I, you have to be very careful about, because the word I refers to your being, okay? So like, when you say things like, oh, well, you know how stupid I am, or you know how silly I am, or you know how whatever you are, okay? Now, when you're depressed, for example, or when you're sad, or when you're angry, right? And you declare, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm angry. Now you are identifying with the emotion. You are not the emotion. Okay, the I is not the emotion. The emotion exists, but you don't have to acknowledge it, because when you acknowledge it, guess what? When you add I to it, you engage, and now you become that. Okay, I know it goes a little deep here, but what I'm saying is the way it affects you in your subconscious is pretty profound. Okay, because if you say it often enough, in other words, if you use, let's say, a derogatory term or a negative word after the word I, okay, you're inflicting this upon your subconscious. And you might say, well, I don't feel it. Well, maybe you don't feel it, okay, but you are slowly becoming it, whatever it is, whatever the it is that you're attaching to I. Okay. Now, when you take into consideration that God is I am, okay, in the Bible, in the Holy Bible, okay, and in other writings, we have the same references, just written in another way. But in the Holy Bible, for example, God reveals himself to Moses as I am. And he says, tell the people of Israel, I am sent you. Okay, and this is why we write I am statements. And this is why I am statements are so powerful. I am is a complete sentence. Okay, I am. Your existence. I am. So, what do we call blasphemy against the Creator? Right? Well, when you use God's name in vain, right? Okay. So a lot of people, have a discussion with me on this one, right? But when you say, I'm stupid, what are you doing? You are cursing the Creator. Why? Because the Creator is I am. Now, when you say, I'm stupid, I'm not so smart, or I'm like this, or I'm like that, or you begin to identify this I am with an external substance or thing or an emotion. Now you've diminished the I. Okay? You've diminished it. So we joke around, right? We joke around, we poke fun with each other, we do all that kind of stuff. But when you say something negative after the word I, now it becomes personal. Not for anybody else, for you, in here. And it affects your subconscious. And I can't tell you how many people I've had to reverse this in over the years. Simply because they got in the habit of saying it. They got in the habit of doing it. They got into the habit of speaking against the I. So when you hear that you're not supposed to use the Lord God's name in vain, remember, okay, God lives in here. Okay, God is I am. The temple is within. The kingdom is within. Okay. Now, You're speaking against the Creator. And what happens when you do that? Well, you're not going to be struck with lightning or anything like that, okay? But it affects your subconscious because now it starts to become a habit if it's done in repetition. There is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. The superconscious is the I am. The superconscious is the larger version of I am, and you are the smaller version or the smaller unit of I am. And when you use I am or I'm, the abbreviation, you know how crazy I am. You know how stupid I am. You know how dumb I am. Okay, I'm just doing this as an example. Okay, but when you do these things, what happens? Well, it works against you in your subconscious. That's why you're not supposed to do it. Because now you are cursing creation. You're a co-creator, okay, which means that you and the superconscious, you and God, whoever you acknowledge, whatever you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Okay, but when you do that, you do this. You engage and you join. So engagement can be energetic, and people don't think about that. Okay, everything is energy. Everything is energy. So be careful what you engage with. Okay, sometimes when we engage with the wrong things, it takes a while to break that engagement. Okay, so energetically, you engage with your voice. Energetically, you engage with action. Think of a stone and you throw it in the middle of a lake, and then you watch the ripples. Then you watch the ripples, right? If a boat is traveling on a lake, you see the wake coming out from the boat. That's energy. So words have power. Words carry vibration. But when you direct these words against this one, by using a negative term after I am, or after I'm, the abbreviation, it's very damaging. It's very damaging. And the thing about it is that most people are unaware. They're unaware. They're not aware. They're not aware because they can't tell right away, because the subconscious is not instantaneous. The subconscious learns in repetition. If you could feel it right away, you wouldn't do it. If you said I'm stupid, and then you go, ouch, I felt that, right? If you could feel it like that, then you would go, oh, okay, I shouldn't do that. But when you speak against yourself, when you work against yourself, you're working against the Creator. Because the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious are all in here. The kingdom is within. There is no out there, out there. The only thing out there is nature and things from other people's in here. That's the only thing out there. That's all that is. Everything else is within. The kingdom is within. The power is within. Your power is within. Your power to co-create with the Creator is within. Your partners. And you create whether you realize it or not. You manifest whether you realize it or not, if you want to use that word. You accomplish goals whether you realize it or not. You speak things into existence whether you realize it or not. How is this possible? How do we speak things into existence? Through your subconscious. Through your subconscious. Is this always bad? No, it's not. It depends on what you say, it depends on what you do. Now, if your default, or let's say this another way, if your subconscious has learned, okay, subconscious repetition, if it has learned to perform in the negative, that's what the repetition will be. Okay, so if it learns to communicate in the positive or express itself in the positive, it will. Okay, so how do you do that? Repetition, same. You create good habits the same way you create bad habits, right? We accidentally fall into a bad habit. Okay, I always use the cookie analogy. You taste the cookie, wow, that's a good cookie. Can I have another cookie? Okay, you have another cookie, right? Pretty soon you really like this cookie. Like, where do they sell these cookies? Oh, they sell it at Costco. Now you're at Costco and you're standing in line with a bag of cookies. Guess what? You have a habit. It's that quick. You only need to do something a few times, 2 or 3 times, to make it a habit. But people are under the misconception that good habits are hard. Oh, good habits are hard to do. Oh, it's so hard to take this one and write, I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. I am so happy and grateful now that I am peaceful. I am so happy and grateful now that whatever. Okay. This is a big job. This takes a lot of work. No, this takes less than a minute. Okay, so let me show you. This is one that I already went through. Okay, but these are affirmations. Okay, this is not journaling. These are affirmations with the date on the side. Okay. This is maintenance. This is how you maintain your subconscious. This is the rudder of the ship. And you have to have a rudder on your ship, otherwise your ship is just going like this. You're just going like this. You're on the water and you're going for a ride and you bump over here and then you go here and you bump here and you go back and you bump here. And that's called a life of chance. That's called a random life, living a random life. It's not a purposeful life. When you have purpose, that means you're directed at some sort of focus. Something. If you're a carpenter, that's where you're going, right? You want to perfect your skills. If you're an artist, you want to perfect your paintings. You work on it. But you have a direction. Some people have no direction. They get up and they say, well, let's see what happens today. Let's see what the world brings me today. And then they react to it. That's a reactionary life. Are some people successful at it? Yeah, sure, I guess. But they're at the mercy of the world. Or let's say it another way. They're at the mercy of others. They don't have control over their lives. They don't have the steering wheel. They're in a rudderless boat going like this. It's like being in an amusement park and, okay, where is this going to take us? What experience are we going to have? Let's go on this ride. And that's the way it is. Super Toya, good morning. Thando, good morning. If you have no rudder on your boat, you don't know where you're going to end up. No. Some people have won the lottery like that. And guess what happens? When they have no purpose, when they have no focus, when they have no direction, they end up losing all of it and going deeper into debt than before they won the lottery. A lot of people say, well, that's it's a curse. No, it's not a curse. It's lack of direction. Okay? This is not something that, you know, God says, okay, this one is going to be poor. God said this one's going to be rich. God said this one's going to be like this one's going to have opportunities, this one no. This one good, this one bad. No. You're all created equal to a certain degree. Okay, we all have our challenges. Everybody. Okay, right here. Challenge. ADHD, big time. Okay. And back in my day, there was no diagnosis. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody just knew that this kid had a problem, right? So my medicine was the belt, the stick, you name it. Okay. That was medication back in the day. But it was out of ignorance. And I don't use that word in a bad way. They did not know. Okay, I'm not using it in a bad way. Any regrets? No, none at all. None at all. But you get to see the kind of people that you deal with. You get to see a lot more on that side of the street, I want to say. Leo, good morning. Good morning. Super Toya, I like that. Super Toya. I like that name. So, now, if you have a purpose-driven life, if your life is being driven by purpose, that's what it means, then you have a direction to go in. Then you're going to go in a direction. Then you have a target. If you have no target, what happens if you go to a firing range and you don't have a target? You're shooting aimlessly. Aimless, no aim, because you cannot aim if you do not have a target. Why are targets important? Well, if you want to achieve something, you need a target. You cannot just walk into a store and say, I want. What do you want? That's a loaded question for many people. What do I want? In 2007, I had to ask myself that question. What do you want? I didn't have an answer. My career was going good. I had 3 companies at the time. I'm like, what do I want? I don't know. More of what I have. You know? So I had to apply some direction. I had to apply some parameters. I had to apply these things. Was it difficult? No, it wasn't difficult. But I had to think of these things. And that's all it takes is some thought. Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good morning, Aura. So, when you put the thought into it, now your subconscious goes, oh, this is what we're doing. Okay. Now things begin to unfold. Why? Because the subconscious communicates with the superconscious, or God. The subconscious has the plan. The superconscious helps the subconscious unfold the details, because the how is God's job. It's not your job. The how is God's job. I can't tell you how many times I've made a plan and the plans don't come out, because when I get to the second of 6 steps, I get taken out to left field and boom, there it is. I go 3 steps into a 6-step plan and boom, I get taken out to left field and there it is. Totally unexpected, right? So I gave up planning. Sounds crazy, right? What? He doesn't plan? No, I don't plan. I just know where I want to go. I just know what I want to do. You only need to know the what and the why. That's it. What do I want? That's a loaded question. When you figure that out, you have to understand why. You have to understand why. Because if you don't understand why you want what you want, you're going to get a little misconstrued, I want to say, when you receive. Things will be a little bit, yeah, it'll be a little bit off kilter when you receive. You only have to know what and why. The how is, you can say universe, you can say God, you can say great spirit, you can say infinite intelligence, whatever you want to say. But all of that, okay? Now, when we identify with the I, when we identify things with I, okay? In other words, I'm depressed. I'm feeling down. Okay? Now what you're doing is you're identifying the I with depression. It's okay to say depression exists. It's okay to say that feeling bad exists. But when you identify I with depression, I'm depressed. Now what you're doing is you're joining. Energetically, you are joining depression. Now you're making it a reality. Now you're cementing that bond because now you have joined the I with it. This is the I. Okay? So on the other live, I think it was earlier in the week, we were talking about attachment. Okay? And how to be independent of attachment. It's the same thing in meditation when you are observing your thoughts, but you're not attached to your thoughts. You don't join with your thoughts. You observe your thoughts and you let them pass. And you can be selective on which thoughts you join with and which thoughts you allow to pass, because there's always more thoughts. You can go through a multitude of thoughts. You can go through an entire day of thoughts and only choose 2 or 3 of them. You have the power to choose. What are you going to choose? What are you going to identify the I with? This is why we do 100 positive I ams. I do this with all of my clients when they come in. And my clients are very good at that because they're all professionals. So they do this anyway. They write everything down anyway. They take notes all the time. So 100 positive I ams first. Now you're identifying the I with generosity. I am generous. I am kind. Now you are identifying the I with kindness. I am loving. Now you are identifying the I with being loving. What happens when you identify with negative? I'm depressed. I'm angry. Ooh, that's a big one. Okay? I'm afraid. Even if you're saying this in a different context, I'm afraid I can't do that today. Ooh, even worse. So now you've identified the I with fear, and you've identified the I with can't. You can choose not to do something. You have the choice. You can do it or not. But just know that you have control over selecting the thoughts and emotions, or you can let it pass. And this is why meditation is important. So how do you fix this? How do you correct it? How do you put the rudder on the ship so that it goes like this instead of just like this? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. My clients are different people in 90 days. In 63 days, you can change habits in 63 days. You ever see somebody, you ever been in a meeting at a company and they roll out a bunch of new policies? This was very amusing to me. Years and years ago, I used to watch this. But I used to observe this from the outside looking in. In other words, I would pull myself out because you can't see it when you're in it. You have to pull yourself out. That takes awareness. And then look back in on it. So it was really funny. They would roll out a bunch of new policies. And everybody would follow the new policy. They would all take notes. Everybody would follow the new policies. But these were just actions and not beliefs. So if you look at the subconscious tree, okay, the roots are your core beliefs or your subconscious beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm, or how you see things, how you see the world based upon what you believe. The fruits of the tree are the actions. In order to change the results, you have to change the actions. In order to change the actions, you have to change the paradigm. In order to change the paradigm, you have to change the core beliefs. How do you change the core beliefs? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It's the fastest way. Oh, you could speak it over and over and over. Yeah. You could write it. But when you use the 4 pillars directly in 63 days, you can have multiple beliefs that change, not just one. Human beings have multiple paradigms, not just one. There's a way that you react with your parents. There's a way you react with your children. There's a way you react with every single one of your friends. So we have multiple paradigms, not just one. So the question becomes, what are you going to attach the I to? Most people are unaware of how this works. When you're unaware of how something works, you start wondering why these things happen. Things are happening, and you don't know why they're happening. And no matter what you do, right, the subconscious begins to take over and shift you back to the old paradigm. So I used to watch these meetings. Everybody took notes. Everybody followed the new rollout, right? And in 2 weeks, in just 2 weeks, everything was back to the way it was before they had the meeting. And in 3 months, they had another meeting. The same thing happened. Why did this happen? How come? Why did it just shift back like that? Because everybody shifted back because the core beliefs did not change. So on that tree, policy changes represent the actions part, but the rest of the tree didn't change. So you can create any kind of action and you can get a temporary result. You can get a result tomorrow. You do a positive thing, you get a positive result. You can do it tomorrow, you could do it right now, and you get something positive. But consistency is the key. How do you become consistent? Repetition. How does that work? The subconscious learns in repetition, and pretty soon your body does it better than you do. Or let's say it a different way. Your subconscious does it better than your conscious mind. So you know when you're driving down the street and you're thinking about the picnic on Saturday and your car still stays on the road, Your subconscious is driving the car. Yesterday, I gave the analogy of driving to work Monday through Friday, and on Saturday, you want to go to the grocery store, and you're 5 minutes or 10 minutes out from your house, and you discover you're driving to work and you have to correct your course. Because your subconscious was taking you to work. Because your subconscious knows how to do that better than your conscious mind. And it took over. Now, if that were not the case, there'd be so many more accidents. Because the minute you took your mind off of the road into another thought, you'd get into an accident. This is how sophisticated humans are. This is how good this one is. So when you identify with a feeling, or when you identify with an emotion, this means you are connecting the I to that. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm angry. I'm upset. Now you have joined. What do you call it when you can observe the emotion, acknowledge the emotion, and let it pass? What do you call that? You call that emotional intelligence. So if you're being attached to all of your thoughts all the time, it becomes a problem. It's like a frog jumping from lily pad to 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 lily pad. Pretty soon the frog doesn't know which lily pad is home. He just keeps going, right? He is responding to impulse. It becomes impulsive. If you put some drive behind that, now it becomes compulsive. So instead of saying, I'm depressed, say, depression is here. Depression is here. Sadness is here. Frustration is here. Because it will always come. But instead of joining with it, instead of becoming it, you can observe it, you can acknowledge it, depression is here, and you can allow it to pass. Some people tell me, oh, but I can't do that. That I try, but I cannot do that. You can if you follow the process. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. So this morning I did 20 minutes meditation, right? It's not difficult to do once you've done it a few times. And you only need 10 minutes. You don't need 20 minutes. Why should you meditate? Well, there's a number of reasons why. There's actually a lot of reasons why. One of them is a healthier brain. Scientists have studied that, they've concluded that. But the most important part is a vibrational break. A vibrational break. Everything has a vibration. Everything is frequency. You want to increase your self-awareness with a vibrational break. Why do you want to observe thoughts rather than become them? It's almost as if you act them out, but you become them because you get sucked into it and now you join. So why is it so important to just observe and let go? Because then they don't have any power over you. So on Wednesday, we were talking about becoming the observer, right? When you become the observer, you can observe things happening in front of you and not be pulled into it to join. Just observe. It's a disconnect that you can do like that, where you can switch from participant to observer. It's very easy to do. Not so easy with everyone if you're not used to it, right? But you can get used to it. I had to work in toxic work environments, very toxic work environments, more than one, more than a few. And in those environments, you can get sucked into things really, really quickly. In any toxic work environment, in any toxic environment, it doesn't have to be a work environment, it could be a home environment, but you can get sucked into those things really quick. Why? Because human beings are very susceptible. Human beings are highly impressionable beings. We are sensitive more than you would like to realize. You know, I like to see these guys that walk around, I'm not sensitive. I'm not sensitive. Yeah, right. They may not be sensitive in the way they want to think about it, but human beings are very sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive in the touchy feely, sensitive kind of way. I just mean that if you tune in, you begin to understand. If you get rid of the mental noise, if you get rid of all the clutter, and you start to settle in here, okay, the prison is in here. But when you start to settle here, now you can remove yourself from any situation. Now you can become the observer in any situation. When you stop identifying with your feelings, okay, you choose. But you don't need to identify with all of your feelings. Acknowledge it, let it go. Acknowledge it, let it go. Now you're living from presence instead of reaction. Now you're not living a reactionary life. Now you're living a purposeful life. But find your purpose. How do you find your purpose? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. It keeps going back to the same thing. There's a lot of people out there that, claim to have a new way of doing things. Oh, we have a new science, a new way of doing. No, there's just the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. That's all that there is. Hey, Keith. Aloha, Keith. Just saw your comment. Yeah, to control is to, yeah. So control suggests like this, you're controlling something, you're controlling. You want to just observe and allow. Observe and allow it to pass. Observe and allow it to pass. Good morning, Holiday. Aloha. Talofa, I should say. Talofa, Holiday. So observe and allow it to pass. Okay? So the next time you want an exercise, a practice? Okay. So the next time a strong emotion tugs at you, it could be happiness, it could be sadness, just to practice, okay? Just to practice it. Pause and observe. Okay? The first step is observation. Then mentally say, this is a feeling of, and describe the feeling. Okay? This is anger. This is sadness. This is happiness. This is joy. Observe. And remind yourself that this is not who I am. Because you are the awareness observing it. You are awareness. How are you able to understand your thoughts? How are you able to observe your thoughts? How are you able to observe your thoughts and your executed actions based upon those thoughts? if you're not awareness. At that point, okay, when you observe and you acknowledge that you are not that, you are not that thought, you are not depression, you are not sadness, you are not whatever it is, happiness if you want to practice, then let it be. Don't join. You don't have to join. This is join, this is engage, this is become. So your attachment at the subconscious level begins when you say, I am depressed. I'm depressed. Now you have joined. Now this registers in your subconscious level, at the subconscious level. When that happens, in repetition, your subconscious learns it. Now you become it. Why? Because it produces these actions over and over. And pretty soon it's, oh, I'm depressed again. I'm sad again. I'm angry again. You see? Now you've created the cycle for yourself. You've created it for yourself, your subconscious. It learns in repetition. How do you clear the slate? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Done. Done. Now, in Hawaii, we call that Ho'oponopono. But it's universal. Okay, because you acknowledge, right? I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You acknowledge first. What was it? What did I say? What did I do? What mistake did I make? It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Here, guilty, right here. Every day. If you're not making mistakes, you're not human. Okay? But how do we rectify these mistakes? How do we make these mistakes good? How do we correct these things? How do we make it good with others? The same way that you make it good with this one, you make it good with that one, whatever that one is, whoever that one is. The law of correspondence, the universal law of correspondence says that everything out here is a reflection of everything in here. And this is why they say, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you who you are. Because it shows up in them and it shows up in you. And how does this happen? Because we're chameleons. Because of that sensitivity. We enjoy somebody, we start saying what they say. We start using their catchphrases. We start hanging out with them. We start drinking their drinks. We start eating the food that they eat. We start sharing. We start caring. We start bonding. And in that process, like attracts like. Like becomes like. Why? Because it appeals to us. It's fun to us. It brings us joy. It brings us happiness. It brings us fun. It feels good. It's not always wrong. It's not that this is wrong, this is right, these people are bad, these people are good. It just depends who you're going to be with. If you want to change your opportunities, change your circle. If you want to get out from where you're at, it's usually your environment because that's what you've become the chameleon to. If you're not getting the results that you want to get, it's probably because your subconscious is being reinforced by things that no longer serve you. If it no longer serves you, why are you going in circles? Why are you on the merry-go-round? Take yourself and put yourself in a higher position and look down on society. Every year we have a New Year's celebration, and before you know it, it's Valentine's Day. Then everybody's rushing to get flowers. Then it's St. Patrick's Day. Then everybody's, wearing green. You're in societal hypnosis. Now, if you see it for what it is, it's good. If you don't see it for what it is, you need to see it for what it is. It's a program. Is it necessary? Well, kind of, sort of. If you want to have a structure to society, yeah, kind of, sort of. But some people don't know it's there. Some people don't see it. And they're doing the same thing on the same merry-go-round over and over and over and over until one day the merry-go-round stops. And that's the end of the ride. And for some people, that's good. For some people, they're comfortable. For some people, they enjoy that. Some people party every day until they can no longer party. And then they're done. And that's okay. It's all about how you want to live your life. Leon Trotsky, the Russian writer, said, "Success is living your life in your own way. And only you can decide what that way is." The reason my professionals come to me is because they want to take their vision from here and they want to expand their vision to here. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, so you already know that affirmations, okay, here you go. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. Once in the morning, read it out loud. Once at night. Meditation, observing your thoughts, observing emotion without attachment, without attaching to them. Observe them, watch them float by. You're going to have a thought about the beach, let it go. Just observe it and observe it going. You can actually observe a thought dissolving. If you want to look at them like clouds, look at them like clouds and watch the cloud move by and then dissipate. And another thought will come, and that's another cloud, and then it will pass and dissipate. If you can do that, you have control. So, affirmations, meditation, vocalization. What is the vocalization? Well, you speak the dream. Speak it out loud when you're by yourself. Why? Because your subconscious responds to your voice first. Right now, my subconscious doesn't know if I'm talking to me or if I'm talking to you. It just knows of what I'm speaking of. It just knows that I'm saying these things. So the vocalization part that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it are the vocal tones that we have people do as an exercise. It triggers endorphins, oxytocin, lowers cortisol levels, increases GABA levels. So it's a hormonal response from your neurotransmitters. It's basically what it is. It's on the website if you want to look at the science of confidence. It's on the website. So confidence is the absence of all the clutter. Confidence is the absence of anxiety. Confidence is the absence of worry. All the negative emotions. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Confidence is the absence of them. So now, visualization is the last one. What's visualization? Well, first of all, you have to see yourself there, wherever there is for you. First, your target, your goal. Where's your goal? Okay, write it down. Okay, can you see yourself there? You want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Can you see yourself there? If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Okay, this was one thing. And I'm not trying to sell you the book. You don't have to buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's been selling for years. Okay? If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And I had to see this in my mind first. And then one day I was like, okay, well, enough. Sit down and write it. And I sat down and wrote it. What is this about? This is about the vocalization process. This is not about singing per se. It's not about being a good singer. This book is actually a disguise. It's about the lives of people that change their lives through their voice. So yeah, it's just about showing you that if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. It doesn't matter what it is. So the visualization process is first understanding that you're worthy. First understanding that you're no worse than anyone. Nobody's better than you. Better is always relative. Better is relative. Better at what? And how do you quantify that? And how do you qualify that? Everybody has their own gifts. Everyone has their own gifts. So where do you see yourself in relation to your gifts? How are you going to use these gifts to take care of you? How are you going to use these gifts to benefit others? The core of humility is thinking of others first. The core of humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less because you put others first. And when you put other people first, you cannot run from blessings. It's impossible. When you're in service to others, you're in service to yourself. When you serve others, you're serving yourself. When you love others, you're loving yourself. It's impossible not to receive when you give. It's impossible, but give of your time. Your time is your most precious commodity. You can't get back time. You can get back money, you can get back things, you can lose your house in a fire, you can build another house. You can't get back time. Every morning I sit here for an hour and I share. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to wake you up. I'm here to give you good news. I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't need anything. And that's another thing. You don't need things. You don't need anything. You can want things, but you don't need things. You know why? Because God is real. Because God will say, here you go. In every holy book, it says that God knows your heart. In every holy book. How does God know your heart? Because your beliefs are in your subconscious, and the superconscious works with the subconscious, and the superconscious is God, and God knows your heart. There you go. God lives in here. The kingdom is within. The temple. The temple is also the prison. Okay? It's either the temple or the prison. It's either going to hold you hostage or be the place where you meet God or higher self or Jesus Christ or Allah or Gautama Buddha, or it keeps going. Every holy book is an owner's manual for this one. Every single holy book. Nothing new has been invented. 5,000 years ago, creation was pronounced complete. Everything is just a reiteration of something former in the present. Everything has been done. Everything has been invented. And everything is in here for you to enjoy. You just have to bring it out here. The law of correspondence, the universal law of correspondence. The same condition that is out here, in your living room, on your desk at work, in your bedroom, in your house, in your car, is in here. When I look at somebody's car, somebody gives me a ride, I know exactly how they are in here because it's visible in their car. When I see someone's desk at work, when I used to belong to a corporation years and years and years ago, I saw exactly how they were in here by how they were over here. You ever go by that person's desk and they're all organized and everything's in its place and everything is orderly? Look at the rest of their life. They're very orderly in here. Why? Because of the universal law of correspondence. And everything out here reacts to everything in here. Once you change something about this, all of this changes. But because you have eyes, you're distracted into a false reality, into a false belief that, oh, the world just got better. No. You project your life path from within. You got better. Now the world is better. Change your mind, change your life. So we want to thank our international partners. Jay is on, Jay is on vacation. Hi, Aura, good morning. How could you reframe the saying? Aura, why don't you write to me? It's junior at hereforyouLifeCoaching.com, and I'll answer all your questions. Just ask. Yeah. So we're going to let go of our, hey, Lee, good morning. Abdullah, good morning. Friday. Lynn Mason, good morning. Leo, thank you very much. And we want to let go of our international stream and say thank you. Mahalo, that's what we say in Hawaii. We say mahalo and aloha. So that's thank you. And aloha is many things. It's love. It's hello.